Oh, that's Marty. Hey guys, welcome to the live. Marty just made it on time. Marty, you're like on time.
Boom.
Boom, stepped into the house just on
close.
time. All right. Well, let's see who's in the chat. The chat's been kind of busy. It's been busy. I'm trying to keep up. We have Bo from Germany. We got Slotcar from UK. Thank you for being up so late and watching us. And then we got the fingers. The fingers, good to have you back, man. And then we have, I think, everybody that we have DeLeon in here. We have Slotcar Wildman. We have Dan is in the house. John Tucci's in the house. John Albright. Almost. And let's see who else. So we have Slotcar 2021. Let's see. It's been pretty busy. These guys, you guys come on a lot earlier than even we do. Daryl Rogers, how are you, Daryl? Ragtop Pat's in the house. See, Gene is in the house. Cyberg, how you doing, man? Kirby Rhodes in the house. Cool. Yeah, pretty big house, full house in here. Gary's in the house too. Anyway, so we have a new face in our midst here. We have Peter. Peter from Show Me Slotcars. He's a brand new to YouTube, not the hobby, but YouTube. And I kind of we got to chatting a little bit on email. He sent me his first video. I said it was really cool. And I told him to come on and introduce himself so that, other people can find him. Obviously, that's what we want. We want more people involved in the hobby. So, congratulations on stepping up and coming out on YouTube. That's an awesome thing. It's good for the hobby in general, as you saw from yesterday and the amount of hype that we got for those nationals yesterday. That was pretty cool. So thanks for coming on board, Peter, and showing up. And then we have Dave in the house because we are going to be talking about some tools of the trade. Actually, I'm going to let Dave and Danny and Marty and George and Peter talk, and I'm just going to listen like a fly on the wall. But that's cool. And then, we'll get to that. But first, let's talk about your week, how it went. We'll start with Dave. How's your week?
Busy.
Yes, I know you've been busy, and you have a special new project that you've just completed.
Yeah, it's 99.9% there anyways. Yeah, got the new car done. And
that thing's badass. That thing's really badass.
Yeah.
It's got his...
Look at that.
You outdid you there. Outdid yourself on that one, Dave.
You got Private
Like
Malone cruising around in his 34 Ford.
That's nice. That's nice.
But yeah, other than that, kids went back to school, so I got that going on. But it's been busy. I'm trying to get things done because I'm going to Harry's in a few weeks, so can't go empty-handed. You got to bring cars with you, so I got to get busy.
Nice. So, I know that you've been molding a lot as well, so can't wait to see what you guys come up with. But thanks for being on tonight. We'll go to George. George, how was your week?
Yeah, work. That's it.
No, you showed off a bigger car yesterday. I like that video. You should take us for a cruise more often. Virtual cruises
Something
are cool.
different.
Yeah, it was cool.
I don't drive it that much. Like I said, if it gets wrecked, they're not gonna. You have to scavenge parts from Australia, and that's expensive. So.
Hey, we have Doug from Manette Racing and Things Electric in the house. Hey, Doug, how are you? And Stuart Barham from UK as well. Thanks for joining us, guys. All right. Yeah, so George, you showed us a little bit of American Muscle, Australian Muscle. But that was cool.
It's the bastard of all GTOs because nobody
Yeah.
really. Well, I mean, now maybe some people like it, but there's a lot of purists out there that they thumb their nose at the car. The guys that did thumb their nose at it actually got in one and drove it, and then they realized, well, maybe this thing isn't that bad. So I mean, it's for a naturally aspirated car. There's no power adders to it. It's a fun car. I mean, you go up against a Hellcat, you'll get wiped out because 800 horsepower. Like I said, the only advantage I have is I'm pretty light and I got some pretty big gears in it. So
Yeah.
I may get a jump on you, but the supercharger, once it starts pouring in, you just walk away from you.
Yeah. It's all good. I just the sound of it was visceral. It's pretty cool with those cutouts. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. Thanks for showing us that.
Thank you.
Marty, what's up, man?
What's going on, Raul?
How was your week?
It was busy, but good. I spent the whole. You guys know because I was feeding you information through the whole weekend. But one of the big things in this area is 4-H and the county fair.
Right.
Oh my.
1,000 livestock. I don't know what you do with that, but anyway.
Yeah, I bought lots of rabbits, lots of hogs, a couple steers, all for a great cause. So helping out with 4-H projects, but 5 hours on Thursday night, 6.5 hours on Friday night, and then 13 hours on Saturday sitting bidding on animals. So I didn't get much Slotcar work in, but it's all good. It was.
I saw you on the live stream yesterday with on the Nationals. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah, that was cool.
Yesterday afternoon. It gave me an excuse to just kind of veg out a little bit, relax.
Yeah. All right, Danny, how was your week?
It was good. I didn't really get any Slotcar stuff done. Kids went back to school today, so we tried to get them ready for school and clothes shopping this weekend and things like that. So I didn't do a whole lot, but I don't know if I've showed this. I know I didn't show it last stream, but here's that Datsun that I've been working on. So I don't think I've even posted it in the forums lately or on Facebook. So
it looks good, man.
Yeah, it looks great.
And then yesterday, Alex had sent me from the Axle Box. He sent me the file for the Slotcar storage deal that he has. So I went ahead and printed one. It turned out pretty good. Yeah. So I just thought I'd give it a shot, see how it'd turn out. But so far, that's really that's all my week. Just work, kind of like George. That's all I do is work. It seems like.
Yeah, we're in demand. We're in big demand.
Maintenance. Gotta fix everything.
Harry in the house, so thank you for joining us, Harry. All right, and Peter, over to you. So we're gonna give you a little bit more time here. You're gonna tell us about yourself, how you got into the hobby, what made you jump onto YouTube, where you want to go with it, etc., etc. So I'll give you center stage. Take it away.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. The first answer is the reason I got into YouTube is because a lot of these guys that are here chatting tonight, I love hopping on this live stream and some of the others, and you guys have always responded to questions and that sort of thing, and so really just pulled the trigger. But the way I got into slot cars initially, like many people, is I got a starter set when I was 8 or 9 years old. Built it up on the floor. I can remember very particularly my first sleepover birthday party ever was spent all night racing on a little F1 set we had at the time. So that was a blast. Obviously, we burnt through every little part on those things, in a matter of weeks or months probably. And at the time, I didn't know where to get parts or anything like that. So it went in a box and got packed away in my parents' attic, and never saw the light of day again, or at least that's what my parents tell me, because I've never seen it again. then more recently, I have a 6-year-old, and so her and I were at the hobby shop looking at some RC cars and some other stuff. And this was, I don't know, 3 years ago, and we saw another, 164 Slotcar set, and so we picked it up and grabbed it. And as things go, you try to get faster and faster lap times and find different software and ways to make them faster and to make it less like you're just chasing your tail around a circle. And so I wound up building a full scenic track that was 4-lane. I used a race coordinator to do the timing for it, and had an Arduino board and sensors and relays and all kinds of crazy stuff with that one. And I loved it. Had a group of buddies that would come over, monthly and race on it. So that was a blast. But more recently, in the last couple of weeks, I found a sweet deal on a used starter set of a digital 132 set from Carrera. And so, called up the wife. It was like, hey, listen, I want to go grab this thing. How are we going to make this happen? And she said, the other one's got to go. Don't have room for 2 of them in the basement. And so luckily the next phone call was my dad, and he was glad to take it to his basement. So I'm spending Labor Day loading it up in a U-Haul trailer and hauling it up to him. And so it can live on in his basement, and I can still go visit and race it, which is going to be fun. But yeah, I just started YouTube, a week and a half ago, I guess. I have just a couple of videos out there, but want to get it rolling and get it started and shake the dust off and break that ice. And so, yeah, I'm excited. Right now, I'm just racing 132 Carrera digital out of the box, right as they come, doing a little bit of tire truing, but not much other than that. Since it was a used set, in the first 3 days, I burnt up a motor because it, got stuck behind. Well, my 6-year-old got stuck behind a ghost car that was going much slower, and she wanted to hammer down the throttle and fried it. So that's my next video that I'm making, is replacing that motor, because why not? I have to do it anyway. Let's record it and see how it goes.
That's
right. So that's fun, and it's I found that these cars, just because they're bigger, are much easier to work on than those 164 cars that ordering parts for and losing springs for the shoes and stuff going flying as soon as you open it. These ones are much more fun to tweak on because they're just bigger and so. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Cool.
How'd you get the name? Are you from Missouri?
I am from Missouri. Yeah, I'm right outside of St. Louis.
Okay, so show me. That's where you get to show me.
Show me state. Yep.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. I know it was very last minute, but we're always welcome. And I put this out to anyone in the chat, and you can attest. It was very easy to join, right, Peter?
It was. It really was. I was surprised.
Right.
I asked him a bunch of questions this afternoon, and he was like, "No, just click the link," and sure enough.
Yeah.
Easy.
I want you to let everyone in the chat that ever thinks they need some high-end equipment to join our live streams, that's not the case. We're not that way. If you want to jump on and share your story like Peter did, please do so. George is kind enough to put his link to his YouTube channel in the chat. So please follow that link, subscribe to Peter's channel. We want more and more people to come on board. And so thanks for starting YouTube and coming on, and being here on our live stream, and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks.
I just subscribed a second ago.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll tell you guys a little bit about my week. First, I want to give a shout out to Pete from Track Fans TV. While they were racing at the Nationals, he was racing in the UK. I didn't catch his live stream because it was delayed, and it was at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I went to sleep. So I missed his live stream. I caught it right after, but he wanted me to he told me in confidence, but I'm just gonna blurb this out to the world that he raced 7 races, out of which he won 3. So it's his first win. So Pete won 3 races. Came 3rd in 3 and 4th in 1. So congratulations to Pete from Track Fans TV. We got to give him some, we got to cheer him on. He's a YouTuber. He's doing well. So good on you, Pete. And keep on racing, bud. But yeah, and then yesterday it was great to watch the Nationals. The racing there was fantastic. The top two
Those boys were
racers were
fast.
just nuts. And it was good to see Travis race. So it was good to see him do his qualifying and everything else. So, and I saw like De Leon put out a video today about his visit to Electric Dreams, and I know DNA did the same. So, lots of content was created. It was kind of cool to see multi-camera setups because I love multi-camera setups. So it was kind of cool to see. Except the audio needs some work because it was cutting out a bit. But I'm sure they'll get it fixed next time. But it was good to see. And then I also watched the news feed from KTLA 5 or something. They had them on the news, so it was kind of cool to watch that as well. So I guess Slotcars is coming back in a big way, so that's exciting for all of us. So you're gonna get a lot of subscribers right now. Lots of people are messaging and saying they're subscribing, so that's good. And then, well, I painted my first white body, and that was kind of cool too. And now I'm hooked. I think I just got a new airbrush today too, like a new airbrush that I've been looking at for a while, because I think I'm gonna be doing about 700 figures, and I don't know, it's becoming nuts, but it'll be fun to do airbrushing. I just realized I like airbrushing, and I've become hooked to it. So it'll be fun to do that. But yeah, that's what happens. First time I clear coded anything, by the way. I've never clear coded before. I was like, why do we clear code these things? But anyway, it was fun. I was so afraid to overspray because you can get cloudy, right, with clear coat if you overspray the clear coat, right?
It can, depending on factors, right? But yeah, you can.
I know, like we have something called a varnish that we normally put on our models when we finish for wargaming, but if you overdo it, it clouds up the model, so it can get cloudy. So I was just afraid of that.
That's
so I was like,
floor shine. Because some people use floor shine for latex.
No, it's actually it's a rattle can that we buy. It's called varnish. It's supposed to put a hard coat on top, which is, I guess, the same as a clear coat, I guess. I don't know. But I was so afraid of clouding up that body. I was so light with it. But turned out good. So that was exciting. But so there was a question earlier that I noticed. I haven't forgotten. Ragtop asked, what is a small cheap camera for putting on a car and to film going around the track? So put on the car, I'm not too sure. Now people do use GoPros. I think Hughes uses a GoPro. I think it's a GoPro 8 that Hughes uses on his channel, if I'm not mistaken. I actually have a dedicated camera car, so I run my cars in parallel with moving cars. So that's how I record, and I have multiple cameras. My favorite camera to record on car footage is probably the Go2 Insta360 Go2. It's magnetic. You can put a little bit of like a little metal plate. Like I use the blade. When you use one of those workbench blades, you snap off the blade. I just tape that to the side of the car and magnetically attach the camera, and will stay. So that's what I use. Whether it's cheap, that's relative and subjective to everyone. But yeah, that's what I use. I hope that answered that question. Let's see. If there's any more questions, I don't see any more questions. All right. So we were going to discuss about the tools that you start to collect as you get into the Slotcar hobby. And Danny, you wanted to bring up some of those things that you had, that you found that were interesting that you had to pick up. So I'll let you take it away, man. I think you're muted, Danny. I can't hear you.
You're right. Yep, I was muted.
There you go.
So I started with HO and I raced HO, but I didn't get into it too crazy. I didn't have any setup blocks or anything like that, and so um, now coming into this stuff, I end up buying a setup block, and I don't think that necessarily you have to have it, but I found that it was something that I decided that I needed, for one, for scratch building, and then two, for tuning. So and then I never had any like pinion pullers or anything like that, which I 3D printed my own, so um, I didn't really have to go out and buy that stuff. But airbrush was a big one for me. Not another thing that you don't necessarily have to have. You can also, obviously rattle can, but I wanted to try it, and I felt like this would be, I guess, the perfect time to try it. I guess So definitely an airbrush was something that I guess was unique that I wouldn't have normally picked up. And then I mean, really, tubing benders and a lot of my stuff that I guess would be for scratch building. Getting into that, there's a bunch of tools that like I already had soldering irons and things like that, but the tubing benders, the ceramic setup jigs, all that kind of stuff. So um, depends on what you're doing, I guess, is how crazy you're going to get into it. I think I'll let Dave go on just a little bit.
Well, I think let's start at the basics, right? Like, obviously a screwdriver, but what you need to get is the hex drivers, right? I think that's a good set of hex drivers is a must-have, especially if you're not going a bit beyond Carrera, because everything that you do to upgrade a car from here at this point will need a good set of hex drivers, right? And George pointed them out. Actually, George is the one that got me to buy the Wero ones. You remember that, George?
Yeah, Slotcar Corner sells a maintenance kit. So if you start out with with just the Carrera plastic cars or whatever, you get the maintenance kit. Um, they are like titled for different certain cars, and like Thunderslot will use something different than what
Yeah.
the normal stuff. But
Yeah,
So,
DeLeon. DeLeon has a question about Magnet Marshall. Who uses Magnet Marshall? I haven't seen one yet.
I have it.
No. Anybody else?
I have it. So,
Yeah.
you heard me.
I haven't either. I'm actually, one of my next videos is making your own Magnet Marshall.
Okay.
of course it is.
Yeah, that'll work.
So more tears are gonna fall. Anyway, we'll continue. Anyway, let's continue.
Oh, did I just say that out loud?
Yes, you did.
You did.
Yeah. Well, Danny, take it away.
So one thing that I did buy, and I actually didn't buy this for slot cars, it just ended up working out pretty good. I ended up buying it for RC, but Cobalt sells a hobby kit, and so far it has got me by pretty well with messing with the slot cars. And it comes with a bunch of the, let me get it in the camera there,
Yeah,
a bunch
nice.
of different bits and whatnot, and it comes with there's a whole nother part of it down here. I think it even comes with like this little bitty hammer and all kinds of different stuff. But so far it's been all right. Some of the hex bits have been a little not perfect, I guess. So there's a few of the bits that I do want to buy a nicer bit for, but mostly, as far as that's got me by.
Nice.
Yeah,
Peter,
I,
you
have a,
want? Yeah.
I
Go
use a
ahead.
kit that's like made for computers, but it
Yeah,
has like every tiny little bit and socket, and then it's just a.
I bet you could probably just buy an iFixit kit and probably be set too.
That's essentially
Yeah.
Yeah.
what that is.
I
Yeah.
fix it, makes nice kits.
All right, so after drivers and we got all the little screwdrivers and stuff, I think the next thing that you need is a setup plate, a good setup plate, or even a block. So when I started, and still today, I haven't got a metal setup plate. But what I got was a 2x4 block. I just ordered my new setup plate from Staffs in the UK, and I got their ride height gauge as well. They just released it. It's something that we see in the RC world a lot, is a ride height gauge, but there's just released one for the Slotcar world. So it's a little red gauge. It's on its way. When it comes in, I'll showcase it. But yeah, Pete promoted it on his live streams, and I went out and got one. It's pretty inexpensive, but I still don't have a metal plate. It's on its way, so I use a block. It's Ernie had made these blocks of wood with just it's MDF with white finish on top and with a slot cut out in it, and you just need something nice and flat and straight to check out. Whether your tires are all touching, not touching, if the chassis is a bit warped, but that would be, to me, a very important piece to have as well, before you actually get into like more expensive stuff, I guess. And then from there you get into, I think from the tuning side of things, like Peter did a really good job today on his video, so I already watched it. But he was talking about how he sets just a maintenance program for his cars, and it's done in is it TrackMate? No,
Smart Race.
Yeah,
Smart Race.
I use so in Smart Race he has it set up that every 1,000 laps, or you can set whatever the frequency is, but depending on the length of your track, but it will then trigger you to say this car needs to be maintained, and then he uses a set of like little brushes, cleans it all out, lubes everything up. So we need a good oil, obviously, and lubricant, so grease, and people say it's sewing kit oil is very good for slot cars. It's a nice thin oil that really works well on slot cars as well. But yeah, you go from there, and that will take you into your maintenance, and then you can get into starting to tune things. So when you start to tune, then you start with your tire truers. You can start with your basics, which is just sandpaper on a rail, tire truing, and then when you do tire truers, you want to do tire cleaning stations. So these are all things that start to add up. And I think this is, and then Marty, you can talk more about the tuning side of things. So when it comes to tools, what else do you see that you know are necessary?
And I think that I'm looking on my bench. I think that having a decent set of calipers, they don't have to be expensive ones, but just being able to measure things. So like when you're touring your tires, you can make sure that they're consistent. Just to get an idea of if you're looking for tires for a certain wheel, you can get the size right. I just think that this has become, I use this, seems like this every day when I'm down here at the track. So just digital calipers, definitely a must for the box. Soldering iron. I've got Dusty bought this little USB powered pin soldering iron, and for like quick fixes and things, because it heats up just at the touch of a button. Fantastic. If I have a lot of soldering to do, I use my regular iron, but mid-race, if I needed to fix something, I would use something like that. It's real handy. They're cheap, but very handy. They heat up real fast, and for quick repairs. Those are two tools, I think, from a tuning standpoint, that I tend to get out.
What about a scale? Need a scale, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I use my scale all the time, and mainly just so I can be consistent. If I'm tuning a second version of the same car, and my first tuning was good, then you measure out your weights that you're putting in the cars. You can test, how much your cars weigh, and it's a good comparison when you're talking to other tuners about their cars. I talked to Daryl and John Albright and my brother Dusty and a bunch of other people all the time, George, and one of the first things is like, how much does your car weigh? And so you're comparing. You've got the same model car. That's a good place to start to see if you got your weight right. It doesn't, it's not perfect, but if a car is really good at 78 grams, then I'm going to try to get mine pretty close to that to see if I can get my tuning where it needs to be. So yeah, scale it doesn't have to be expensive one, but they come in very handy.
Yeah. So you got the scale. Another thing that I would like to get and that I haven't had a chance to get my hands on is the balancer. So you can check the balance, whether it's a forward bias, rear bias on your slot cars. I know in racing, when I race real cars, it's very important to know where where the balance is on the car. You get proper handling. I don't know how important that is in the slot car world, but I know that
I have it. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
I don't. I mean, if you want, I'll send it to you. I don't even use it.
No,
I'm
I
being
don't.
honest, on that part of it.
Yeah,
But I've
no.
tried it.
I like I said, I've seen it. I know Travis and them had recommended it, but I have no idea how important it is on the slot car world. I know Marty, we just shift weight around, right? Like you just move weight to the front. You see if it slides out too much in the rear, then it's front heavy, and you keep on moving back to get a balance, right? So that's how you do it.
That's how I do it. Yeah, I don't have a balance beam or anything like that. I thought I wanted one, but I don't know how much I would use it. Yeah, you after you tune a handful of cars, you start getting an idea of what the car
your
needs.
eyesight, your finger, and how you run your track is what is going to tell you what to do because you're so used to your setup.
I agree, George.
And I know
you can use that and take it to every other different track if you want, because since every track is different, if you're thinking of that way, if hopping different tracks, I'd say maybe that'd be a benefit.
Yeah, and there's some tools like when you start out, you see like other people talk about them, and then you're not too sure whether you need them or not. And this is a good way to talk about it because that balance beam, I've seen it, but I never knew how necessary it was or unnecessary, right? But you can get caught up in that. Oh, I need that because you've seen it, when you're very new. So this is a good way of just talking about things. The other thing, like magnet marshals, it came up earlier. I think if you're running on plastic track, maybe you need a magnet marshal more than you would need on a wood track. Because in the wood, they're not really getting affected by magnets at all, right?
Nope.
So
yeah, you don't need it for wood track. For what I have here, I would use it just to see how much magnet downforce is from the motor.
Yeah, it was interesting. Mauricio was at the Nationals yesterday when they interviewed him. They said in Europe they run mostly plastic, and wood track is a very North American thing and a UK thing. So it was interesting that his perspective on wood track, he had to get to grips with driving on a wood track as much as being on a new track. So that was interesting to hear because I never thought about it that way. I've seen wood tracks in the UK a lot, so I assumed that it was a pretty big thing in Europe, and to find out it wasn't, it was pretty interesting. So magnet marshals, I'm not too sure if you need it right away. Maybe if you're running a lot of magnets or you're running plastic track. But something that I do want to get is a chassis flattener, especially with the new lightweight. I just have a problem right now with a scale auto with a warped chassis. It'd be nice to get and I think like Pete showed a way to do it pretty inexpensive with a metal block and magnets. You can just use that, but then there are pro grade chassis flatteners. I think I saw one available at, I think Great Traditions had one. It's $100.
I have the NSR one. The one thing about that is that it's really made for only NSR chassis. If you try and throw a slotted chassis on there, you're not going to get the same effect. You're probably better off, like you said, with the metal plate. And I've seen that on the video. I think it's just the Texas guys that do it. It works better that way than using the NSR one. Now, there is a guy named, I can't remember, his first name is Chris. He actually modified one where he put a thermostat on it and increased the temperature, because on some chassis they're different. The NSR ones it's good for, but if you try and use it on like maybe a scale auto, I don't know, or a slotted, you may not get the same results. So just be aware of that, because I have one. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. So John Albright brought something up that I think is also very important. A bench supply is a good important thing to have as well, and they're pretty inexpensive. Harry has the pocket supply, is promoted, and I have like a 3 or 4 of them now because I find them invaluable. So definitely something to pick up if you are getting started. It's pretty inexpensive and it's really does well, especially when you get into the tire truing and all of that, right? So yeah, so then you go from that into tire truers, obviously getting a good tire truer, and now we're spoiled for choice. There was a time when I first started last year, you couldn't find a tire truer. Now we have quite a bit of choice all over with the tire truers. And then
It's crazy how fast that changed.
Yeah, well, demand and popularity.
Well,
Yeah,
I think CG Slots is the one that really got everybody's eye to go raise up and go, oh, we need to make one.
yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Because the only one available at the time was Overdrive all the way in Germany, and it wasn't too, a little bit expensive because it's overseas, but they needed one here in the U.S. badly.
Yeah, so Slotcar just pointed out Pete didn't show everyone that when he took the magnets off before the chassis was totally cool, it bent back again, but that's normal. If you take plastic out of hot environment, you gotta keep it stiff and until it cools down to room temperature, it will warp again. But I think, yeah, when it comes down to tuning, those are the basics that we need, right? And then you get into custom building, and that's where Dave and George, you can take over and start talking about all the things that we need from custom building perspective.
I've got my ink pen to take notes.
George, come on. He
Make
looks
my
at
list.
it carefully. Well, Harry showed that cool tube bender today. This was pretty cool.
Yeah, the Dubros. That's a
Yeah.
good one right
Yeah.
there. That's a lot easier than. I think it's a little bit easier than one we have, isn't it, Dave? The
Oh
Neo
yeah,
one.
and
Like the Neo
it's
one's a
funny.
little
I
bit.
don't know why I didn't think of that Dubro bender a long time ago, because that's an old RC airplane
Yeah.
piece of equipment, and that thing's been around for a million years. And the RGO bender works well,
Very,
but you have to really get used to using it, because if let's say you mark your piece of wire, you want to bend it, you have to really make sure you put it in the right place, because otherwise it pulls the wire and puts your bend where you don't want. Where that Dubro bender bends it exactly where it's at on that mandrel, and you are going to get a precise bend. It's actually a better product, I think, for certain things. So it's just another tool to have in your arsenal. They're not expensive either, $30, about the same price as the RGO. But yeah, I think I told Harry today I got to order one of those.
My favorite thing that George hinted I should get when I started custom building, and I got right away, was the micro little circular saw thing. The little
chop saw.
Yeah.
oh, it's called a miter saw with the little
Yeah.
aluminum.
I got
That'll
one
do
right
it
away.
pretty
I was
quick.
like, I'm fascinated by micro things, so I was like, oh, I gotta get one of those. It still has the zip tie around it, so haven't used it yet.
I need to get one of those myself. I still use my trusty Dremel to chop my brass up with. I guess
Yep.
it's all just what you're used to, right? That's what I've always done. So
Yeah,
if you're
Dremel
gonna
is
start-
a big tool, right? And when it comes to like custom anything, whether
We
it's
got 3 of
terrain,
them.
yeah,
If you're gonna start scratch building, and what I would do is stick with the basic chassis. All you really need is a soldering iron, the little block, and the pins, some acid flux, and some 6040 solder, not silver, not $1,000 freaking soldering iron. I don't care what anybody tells you. You don't need anything that expensive. That'll get you in the door, and that's basically what the basics of it is when you start doing a chassis. And a
yeah,
tubing cutter. I should interest that
I
as
think
well.
a lot of times we frighten guys off. Like poor Peter
Yeah.
sitting up there, probably listening to us all, going, "I need a what and a chassis who and a then."
Yeah.
You don't need 90% of this stuff. You need basic tools to, because like we were talking prior to going live, 90% of us race alone. That we don't race in a organized racing and all that kind of stuff. So we just
Right.
got to make sure our cars function properly, and that they don't chatter and squeak around the track, and that's the basis of tuning. And To me, if you've got a good set of hex wrenches, a gear puller, and a setup block and a tire machine, you're ready to rock. You can tune any car that you need to tune for home racing. And then if you decide to, like, some of you guys go to the clubs and all that, then yeah, by all means, you need to add a few more, little tricks to your trade and make your cars better. But for the average guy, you don't need all that expensive equipment. And I know I'm not selling any equipment by saying things like that, but it's just the truth. And it's the same for scratch building, like George just said: a soldering iron, a block, and something to cut the brass with and solder it together with, and you can make a chassis.
Yeah.
It's not as my son says, it's not rocket surgery. So
Yeah, all the other small things, like you said, the gear puller you should get in gear press. That's probably an automatic tool, because if you're going to be putting, your pinion gear in
right,
and pulling out, you will need that. That's part of assembly of the car. There is a video I did on tools. It was a long time ago. I'll probably reiterate one once, probably in a few weeks. Cover that, just to kind of show everybody. It doesn't take too much, but as you advance and you start wanting to do, like, jailhouse chassis, out of wire, then you start getting into like tubing benders and some big pajama wire cutters to snap the the piano
right.
wire and stuff like that. And
Well,
it's
there's
just
also
the
a lot of
involvement.
there's a lot of little weird specialty tools like this little reamer. If you're going to
Yep.
put aftermarket oil lights in a Carrera, you need this thing so you can open the chassis up a little bit so they fit and you don't crack the chassis. Something else I have, and I use these all the time, I run these through my oil lights every time. It's a little 1/8-inch reamer, so I chase out my oil lights or the piece of brass that I use to make the front end out of, to make sure that it spins as free as I can make it spin. But again, you don't need this, but it's handy. And you just, as you go, you figure out what you need, and the next thing you know, you've got a giant toolbox full of stuff, and makes your life easier. Some of it makes your life easier. Some of it's just got to have the latest and greatest, newest thing,
Yeah.
But
No, I think in
Then
general,
there's
like,
the picking part, and there's several different levels of stuff. What you would start with painting it. Just start with a rattle can, just to keep it simple. Use the
right,
KISS method, as they call it. Keep it simple, stupid. Just use
right,
a rattle can to start, and then just go from there. Throw decals on, and then do your acrylic clear, and then you can do your final clear. Start out simple with paint. Don't go and diving into airbrushing just yet, because
right,
I kind of did that, and I found myself frustrated because I had some real cheap airbrushes and they were shit, and things weren't working right. I was like, "This sucks. I ain't gonna use this," and kind of chucked it. Then as I read more and kind of got more experience, I realized, well, I didn't have really some somewhat of good equipment, or I wasn't using it correctly, or I was bending the needles because they were 0.2 and 0.3, which are real delicate. You can't manhandle those, and that's what screws the atomization. But start with a spray can. There's nothing wrong with rattle can. Rattle can is just as good as airbrushing, but you keep it simple like that. And that's what you want to do, is keep it kind of simple at first, and then from there you could just advance as you build more.
that's it. As your skill level increases, you can start getting new stuff. You gotta practice makes perfect, as they say. So practice and practice until you get good, and then bump up a level, so to speak, and just keep going that way.
Yep.
A good
Well,
hobby knife too.
hobby knife for sure.
You can
Yeah.
cut
Oh, yeah,
some brass with it.
I can do some serious damage with a hobby knife.
Yeah.
To fingers and thumbs and
Right. Yeah, never mind the models. I'm always cutting
That's right.
myself.
Do that crap at work.
And you would think it's the opposite, but keep a nice sharp blade in that hobby knife too, because
Yeah.
the duller that blade is, the more it's going to slip, and the more you're going to cut yourself or ruin your project, because it's not cutting and you're applying more force than needed. And next thing you know, you've stabbed yourself or stabbed something you didn't want to. And
right.
yeah, hobby knife blades are cheap. Buy a bunch.
Yeah, when I discovered you could buy like 100-pack on Amazon for like $11,
Yeah,
it
you
was
saw that.
like
too.
game changer. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
You could
just
buy a
swap
lot
it
of
out
bulk
every single
stuff on
cut. I don't
Amazon.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
remember as a kid, I would save every one of those stupid Exacto number 11 blades because I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to afford it. Would my allowance cover another pack of blades next month? I don't know. So I would be scrounging through these rusty old blades to find the sharpest one I could because this one was no good. But I'd still save that one I took out. It's
Yeah, you
just
never know.
don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, since I have George and the shotgun, I don't know if you watched a De Leon's video from the Nationals yesterday, but he was looking at some of the custom cars, and there was one where the guide was on a floating piece in the brass.
Yeah, floating guide.
yeah.
Actually, Michael Squire did that on the Showdown car. He did his 55. Had it's
Oh,
like the NSR one on the Corvette. Yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot of guys
or
that do
like the
different things.
Carrera 124 cars with the drop
No,
guide.
Yes,
not a drop.
exactly.
It's not a drop. It's a side to side. It shifts side
Oh,
to side. Yeah, it's
okay.
not the
I've never seen
drop. It's not the drop guide. Yeah, so basically, when you hit the edge of the slot, it gives the car a little bit more give to right itself as it comes around. And I thought it was really interesting because that's a pretty cool, ingenious way of kind of adding a little bit more stability to the car. Because sometimes when the car hits the edge of the slot with the guide, it can be very violent, right? But this kind of lets it ease back in. It was pretty cool. And I saw that and I was like, I should bring it up with you guys. So yeah, you can check it out. I think De Leon's.
People experiment a lot with different things, and that's great. It's basically when you come around the corner, the outriggers are the front wheels, because as soon as it tips, I think he's just allowing more sliding room, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
That's what's fun about it.
Carry the momentum around the corner easier.
Yeah.
If the instead of it being permanent like that, it can just give a little bit more and let that momentum bleed off as you're going around the corner. It's kind of a cool idea, actually.
Depending how much it slides, does it slide a little or does it slide all the way?
It's very
across?
slight. It's really cool. You just watch De Leon's video on his tour. It's part of that. He shows it off, and I thought of you guys right away. I was like, I got to bring this up to you guys because I know.
Ask Dave about front steering. front steering freaking slot cars.
Every time somebody brings that up, I get bombarded with people wanting me to show the pictures of my damn front steering. And
it's cool for pictures, but it doesn't work out well.
Nobody wants to do front steering. I try to dissuade everyone because number one, it does nothing. It actually makes the car slower. So it is of no value whatsoever. It looks really cool, and that's the only reason I did it is because my friend and I, he and I were doing this together. I wanted to make some cool videos, and I have a video on my website. It's an old video, or on my YouTube. It's an old one, but you'll see it. The car, it looks really cool. Come around the corner, and the steering's all crossed up like a real car, But that was a nightmare to build that steering, and it's 132 scale. It ain't 125 scale.
Smaller.
It's small.
It's tiny. It's retarded. Oh, sorry, I don't know how to say that word.
That's all right. That's good.
So good.
Cancelled.
You gotta want to get in trouble here. You gotta be politically correct. So.
Yeah. So Slotcar says essential tool in the pack is a pack of Band-Aids. I thought for him it should be an IV drip with coffee.
No,
but
here in America we use freaking tape, and you just keep going. Screw the Band-Aids.
I thought you used super.
And
I heard super glue. Super glue. Super glue.
Fine.
Super glue.
Here's my Band-Aids right here.
Yeah.
Actually stops the bleeding.
Yeah.
They do. Actually, you know what stops the bleeding even better?
Super glue.
Super glue.
Yeah.
Super glue. That's surgeon's use.
All right. Well, I don't know. What else do you guys want to talk about? When it comes to airbrushing, I can talk about a lot of stuff, but
you get into the painting side of it. I mean, there's the painting side, the building side,
yeah.
tire
So
side.
for terrain building, I love building with foam. So I got a whole set of wire cutters, like the wire foam cutters. So I have a scroll wire cutter for like my bigger pieces of foam, and then I have my hot knives, and then I have my U-shaped sculpting blade as well for wire cutting. But that's what I have on the terrain side, and then obviously you need your paint and your brushes and everything else. We have that spray foam. And we have a drywall compound to smooth everything out, and obviously sandpaper, which we talked about from the very top. You just need different grits. So
Let's ask Peter. What did he start out with? What tools did you start out with? Since he's fairly, getting
yeah,
into it.
Yeah, so with the 164 stuff, it was tiny tweezers and little cups. But like I have from the dollar store, I had it showed it in my last video, but it's just these little like clear plastic shot glasses. But like just dropping the parts in those things and keep them separated. I flip one upside down so I can keep the chassis and the body off of my table because I do other crafting stuff for. Well, most of it was for the old table. It will be for the new table soon. But yeah, I've got some hot knives from when I was doing more terrain stuff. The one thing I can see and what I see a lot in the Slotcar, YouTube space for attaching scenery and that sort of thing is a lot of white glue, and white glue is great. But if you use Mod Podge, it has a little bit of resin built in there, and it glues much harder and much it just holds better, and takes a much more of a beating than just white glue does.
well, I use
and
foam fusion. You ever heard of foam fusion?
Yeah, and I mean, like attaching like flock to
Oh,
the
yeah,
foam or to whatever. It just makes it a much harder surface. And I learned that from wargaming terrain tutorials and stuff I used to watch when I was preparing to do the 164 stuff.
Yeah.
But screwdrivers, I mean, I've had that screwdriver set for forever now, but now the only thing it mostly gets used for is fixing sunglasses and fixing slot cars. I showed these little, like, I got them on Amazon. It comes in a pack like this. I think they're for makeup or something, but it's these little Q-tips. It's really like a toothpick with a little bit of cotton swab on the end. But that's really nice for cleaning out, oil and all that funk in there. If you get something stuck in between, in the slot of the track, this is much less abrasive, or you're not going to cause as much harm getting funk out of there. And then my favorite tool lately is my, it's like a shark hand vac. So you just run it over the track real quick and then wipe it down, and that does wonders. But
Yeah, lint roller.
Super basic stuff.
Very
I've been
big
thinking
tool.
Get me a little tiny vacuum, one of those little dust buster things or whatever, because anytime you'd use a Dremel tool, you've got dust everywhere. So
yeah,
and then I have to pick everything up and move it away and go get the big vacuum cleaner and suck everything up and all that. It's way. I think I'm gonna do that. Get me a little dust buster for my bench.
Another thing that I got is the instead of buying the canned air, it's it does the opposite of a vacuum. It's basically canned air, but it's battery powered. You recharge it, and I can go blow off my desk and blow off the track if I need to, whatever. I think I got it off Amazon for $25 or something.
It's like
Works pretty good.
I got two of those. I have the one that's more powerful. We used to use it to clean the water off the cars. Like after you detail the car and you want to get into all the little edges, we used to use the hoses to clean up the little bits of the car that's still wet. So I've always had those, and I have the battery operated one, and I have one that's a little bit more powerful. But yeah, for sure.
You could talk about other tools like sonic cleaner. I mean, people sometimes will use the thing for cleaning brass shells to put cars.
Yeah, actually, we have a sonic cleaner, and when I finished my hot rod chassis, I stuck it in the sonic cleaner, and it was some simple green, I believe it was, just to clean it all up, fingerprints and grease and whatever else. The flux, there you go. Couldn't think of what it was, but I stuck it in there for 5 minutes or whatever and cleaned it up pretty good. And then I went and polished it and stuff.
If you don't want to spin on the sonic cleaner, you could use also CLR. Spray it and then brush it and then clean off that way. It's a cheaper way of doing that CLR stuff.
Yeah, a good thing is face mask. Like, especially if you're using pink foam and stuff, I use a proper ventilator because those fumes will get you, especially when you're cutting as much pink foam as I have been. But yeah. And another thing that I found recently that has been invaluable to my airbrushing has been a Vortex mixer. I don't know, like, you can shake acrylic paints decently, but a Vortex mixer, wow, it does such a great job. Especially, those when I was working with the color shifts, they need a lot of like shaking. Like they need to be really, really like well mixed. And the
I have one of
Vortex,
those right here.
yeah, but a Vortex mixer will, like, you can you there's a night and day difference between the Vortex mixer and using just your hands to shake a bottle. So
Danny
that
has
to
a
me has been
vortex
invaluable.
mixer too. You know it, right? That chair you just spin in a circle. Your vortex mixer.
Yeah.
Stainless steel BBs in the
The problem with that is they rust. I got a bunch of stainless steel BBs. I got them from Army Painter specifically for that, but I left them about a month, and I don't know why. But my Vallejo metals, the little ball bearing actually picked up rust on it. So
I would say that it wasn't stainless steel then.
Yeah.
well, they're specifically sold for agitators for paint.
Those are the ones I have, and I should probably open.
Yeah, you gotta check it out because I noticed
you
like
invent a new color now.
yeah, I noticed at the bottom of one of my metals on the aluminum, it had turned brownish. I was like, "What the hell is that?" When I pulled it and I dropped the metal bearing out, it actually had spots of rust on it. I was like, "Well, how did this happen?" It's coated inside. But when I was working in the brake industry, we had something that we did a research paper on. We released in the automotive world called black steel. And it looks like the steel is perfectly fine, but underneath it, because all of these come from China or from countries where they don't purify their steel, the rust is actually underneath the surface and over time will come to the surface. So it's a reason why a lot of the brake pads that you buy, the cheaper sets, they do have a lot more corrosion on them, and they corrode a lot faster. It's something called black steel, but I do know that happens. But I've already had that experience. So my Vallejo, a lot of my Vallejo metallics, I threw them out because they're contaminated. I just got a whole new set in. Expensive because Vallejo metallics are expensive.
They already had rust.
Yeah, you can't spray that through your airbrush at all. So yeah. Anyway,
You could also get into like small storage containers now. Walmart sells those little bead storage containers, and those are great for putting like rub screws, body screws, small things that you don't want in packages. Or
I
that,
use like those little medical, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the little containers.
Yeah, the pill.
I use pill
that's
boxes
cool.
for that. Yeah.
I use the little tackle boxes.
Yeah, tackle boxes.
At work, our electrical tape comes in a little round case. The bottom's black and the top is clear.
Yeah.
And so we normally just throw them away, but I collect them, and that's what I put a lot of my stuff in.
There's always little things you can find to do that. It's good to have small storage
Yeah.
things.
Any little containers, I use these little Altoids tins and, whatever, just to keep the screws from rattling around all over the place.
Yeah, I've been making my own powders for weathering. I don't know if I talked about it, but I've been making my own because when you do terrain, I use a lot. Yeah, exactly. I crush those down. So I use little containers, like I guess from makeup containers or whatever, and I put my powders in there. So it makes it easier to keep. So yeah, we tend to hoard a lot of these little containers and stuff. Whenever I see them, I just pick them up and I keep them. Even for washes, because I create terrain washes. Because there's no point like spending a lot of money on washes. So if you take a dollar rounding ink and you add like a little bit of dish soap, a little bit of latex medium, and a little bit of white glue to it, and water, and you mix it all up, it creates a terrain wash, and you can weather terrain with it. So I've been making all these bottles of washes and stuff. But yeah, that's just stuff that you tend to pick up as you go along. Yep.
It's fun. It's funny you mentioned hoarding stuff because, like, right here, out of view. Let's see, it's right there. The big old pile of stuff that's got to go in my trash can upstairs is stuff I've hoarded forever, and I'm making room down here. So yeah, it's stuff that probably 5 years ago I was like, oh, I'll find something for that. No,
Well, it's like
sat in that box for 5 years, and I don't even know where it came
talking
from.
about hoarding stuff. At my grandpa's house for the longest time, I had an LS block sitting there. I had a 4L60 transmission. I had heads laying around. I probably could have built a whole freaking engine, but it just sat there. So I ended up having to get rid of it. But I mean, I've got more LS parts than what I probably know what to do with sitting in my freaking. I don't even own an LS right now, but I've got it all in there in my garage.
Yeah.
But I hoard everything.
I know it's a problem. I have my original Hellcat headers. I have my Hellcat exhaust, the full exhaust. I don't know why I kept it, but it's all there. Anyway, we can talk about hoarding another day. We can start a whole new topic on that. So here we go. Eye protection is very important. Let's keep on track, boys. So eye protection is very important. Yes. Has anyone built their own spray booth? That's a question. Dave, do you use a spray booth? You spray outside?
Harry's paint booth is homemade and it works good.
Yeah. But Dave, you live in an apartment, right? So do you spray outside, or you
I
have
go
your
out
own?
there and piss off all my neighbors right out there on the patio.
They're all getting high.
You know what though? It doesn't really matter. The lady next door, she's really she restores furniture, and so she's always out there on her patio sanding away on some cool antique table, and there's dust everywhere. So nobody says a word when I'm out there spray painting my little model car. So
Yeah.
That's great.
It's a pretty cool apartment complex.
yeah, it actually is. It's an apartment, but I mean, this is a 1,400 square foot apartment, so it's not tiny, and they're all that way. So it's a bunch of families that live in here, and it's really cool. It's kind of, everybody gets to know each other. The lady upstairs, she's about ready to have her third baby right now. Everybody knows what's going on in everybody's life, so it's cool.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of war gamers use cardboard boxes to make spray booths. I myself, when I first started, used a cardboard box with an extractor fan from a computer as my first spray booth. And then now I have my own spray booth. But this is interesting. Sunshine Speedy asks, how many people think a 3D printer is a good tool in the arsenal? I think we already did a video about this. I think the future is in 3D printing. I think George has a 3D printer here. I have a 3D printer here. Danny has a 3D printer here. Peter has a 3D printer. Marty's going to buy one tomorrow.
No, he's gonna make his own. He's not gonna buy one.
Marty's gonna make his own.
Oh yeah, of course. Marty, that's the next project, Marty.
That's what that schematic is behind him.
He's got a non-schematic on how.
That's what he's sketching down there. He's like, what am I?
Non-schematic.
But what he was saying, I would like to see the video on using Tinkercad. I've tried using Tinkercad, and it's not exactly hard, but there's a lot of things that you don't. So they have like shapes and stuff that you can use. So let's just say you want to make something. Well, you might have to create one section, and then you have to go and attach that section to this, and I don't know. It gets crazy on how you have to get creative on how you make things in Tinkercad if you're getting technical with it.
The whole 3D
That would be a
printing
good
goes
video.
right over my head.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly. I'll stick with the resin stuff that
I like to create. I like to
the
create
3D
with
print.
these. I don't care about that 3D stuff.
I can really do it too much. I only do small things, but what you do, Danny, is way beyond us. So.
Yeah, way beyond me.
So
man.
I don't create anything. So a lot of this stuff I
But
just
you're able to
find
get the machine to work for you. That's something I can't
Yeah,
do with this.
you know how to
You
manipulate all those
here.
files, and you know all that computer mumbo jumbo
that
and
yet.
jargon. And
I guarantee you, if I sat down with y'all in person for half an hour, y'all would be perfect.
Nope.
Y'all wouldn't have anything. Y'all would be like, it would just be like, oh, it's that easy. But I know, like watching people on
It's
YouTube,
like the non-schematic schematic that Marty put up. You know,
Yeah,
it's
the
simple, guys.
non-schematic.
It's a bunch of lines, squiggly lines that go here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah,
And
They're
yeah,
all
you
color
only,
coded,
I
man.
knew
it's
what it
it's
meant.
so
all
easy.
line.
I was like,
That's why
I
I told
don't
you,
know.
Marty, you
I
probably
looked
need
at,
to repeat
I was like,
that.
honestly,
Yeah.
Marty, I looked at a schematic. I was like, I'm so glad I don't have to do this. At least I know the person
Again.
that created this.
It kind of looked like a football plan. Here, and you go bam, here, and here, bam. And,
Oh, if only I had a John Madden imitation.
yeah.
Hey Marty, I know what it says. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
Oh,
Well, the six
I'm
people who have requested a copy of it, they know how to read it too.
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I was following it. You can't see, you can't see what you're doing. I understand it, but I was like, I should make it a little bit nicer so it'll be kind of cool to kind of, have like a real nice schematic, and then you could really, blow.
But see, that's what I was
everybody away.
afraid of. If I made it a real schematic, guys would look at it and go,
Get
I have
confused.
to know how to.
Well, that's why
I
you
have
have
to
a
know how to read a
legend with the
schematic.
symbols so that you can tell
Well,
what each thing means.
yeah, that's
It'll
we have
improve.
those
It
schematics
was a
too.
very-
Right?
Hey,
drawing.
hey, everybody turn on Marty. He did us a
That's all
service
No,
and
no,
we're all
no,
gonna
he
jump.
did a great
Oh, good, man.
job.
I can take it.
I'm just giving him a
I'm with
little
Marty
bit of
on
a
this.
Marty, you
leeway
gotta
there.
do it better, okay?
Have
You can't
fun.
do this.
If you
Because
just
I
build
didn't
it on
do
a
that.
cocktail
I can do that,
napkin, I'll
so.
be able to build it. But if you give me some official blueprints or whatever, forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Anyway,
Really is easy.
so another thing we haven't talked about is we haven't talked about molding. So Shotgun Dave, you know
Yeah,
what you need for molding.
another one.
You need
I
molding
really like
supply.
watching that.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Do you do
Well, molding silicone is expensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah,
A lot of
molding
people don't realize
silicone.
that. That's why I can understand people getting upset when you give them a gift casting and then they back cast it because they're jerks. Because all that hard work to make, it's not just you just pour crap over it. You have to actually get the model that you're doing the master of, and you have to do things to it to reinforce it in order for it to come out good. That's where all the work goes in, and you could put in like, hours and hours of work into that. That's what's the frustrating part and what is hard to give away gift casting, because you have
Yep.
people that are trying to sell it for a profit, and that's not right. That right
Well,
there really pisses me.
I
Piss
can't
me
see
off.
the chat, so I don't know if Gene is in the chat out there. But I gotta
Yes.
shout out to Gene that man, and he
Dove
could probably
into it.
attest to how expensive that is. I know he watched my videos, and I know he tackled it, and he did a fantastic job. I'm so proud of him. He's like my star pupil, and but I think he could probably attest to probably sticker shock on what all that stuff cost him. He could have went out and bought a '67 Cougar for what he paid probably for all the materials. So it's fun, and like I said, you can't create certain things without casting, because like I've talked before, 34 Ford Roadsters don't exist in 132 scale. Nowhere. Not anywhere on the planet. So you got to make one yourself. So that's when this casting comes in handy. Or when we find these old antique model kits that there's only 4 of them on the planet and they're $150 each, we make a casting of that so we can make bodies and make slot cars. But I think for the average hobbyist, resin casting is probably not in the cards. It's just it's a hard deal. It's not hard. That's the wrong word. It's not hard. It's time consuming
Time-consuming. Yeah.
and
Time
it's
intensive.
expensive. It's not cheap.
You
How's
guys
the average? You tell them the cost of the silicone on average is like about $200.
Yeah, the stuff I use is I bought this kit. It's the same stuff that Gene bought. Well, that's not it. It's a 2-gallon kit, and it's just over $300. And you can make a few cars out of that and a bunch of little parts, but are you really going to like sell resin bodies to recuperate that? Not too many people are actually going to buy those bodies from you. Like George says, we've had a few guys that we've given them to, and then they run home and make their own casting of our hard work and turn around and resell it. That's kind of shitty, for lack of a better word. But hey, it happens. So we're particular about who gets our products now. Let's just put it that way. And we only give them to guys that we know are going to actually build the cars with. And if you're going to build a car, I'm happy to provide you with some of this stuff. But If it's just some random guy, I just want one of your bodies. Are you going to build something with it? Well, I don't know. Then it's a lot of hard work that I put out there that I don't want to just waste, I guess, if that's, but making them, like you say, I make my own tires too. It's, these products, they work, they really do. And if you're willing to do it, you can do some pretty cool stuff with it.
Yeah,
And
I was
if
gonna
anybody's-
talk about this. I don't know. Do you guys watch Swift Slots? Rob Swift from UK. He's making this new resin chassis for universal resin chassis for diecast, a 1/43rd scale. It's really unique. I thought it was really ingenious how he came up with the concept. He's very technical. He's a very technical person, and he does resin for a living. That's what he says in his video. That's what he does for a living. So it's a really good video. It tells you, it shows you how much work goes into just a simple chassis part, how long it takes, and how much effort it takes to get all the measurements, conceptualize, sketch it out, you machine everything. It's a lot of work. So anybody who's doing like molding, learning how to 3D print, there's hours involved. Like Danny says, he could spend an hour with us, but it didn't take him an hour of learning. It took him months and weeks and years of learning to get to this point, right? So there is, it's an appreciation. You have to appreciate all of you. Like I say, you're an OG to me, right, Shotgun Dave, and we
I'm old,
appreciate.
all right.
We have to appreciate all the work that has come before us to make this happen, right? And anybody who takes that and doesn't pass it on, but tries to make money. I mean, you're not gonna make a lot of money out of that, and it's just silly. But ingenuity gets hurt because of that, right? So people stop being creative because they're afraid. I worked really hard on this and it's been taken away, and somebody else is doing it.
I'm not afraid of that at all. I won't stop doing what I'm doing, and I will happily help anyone who wants to do it as well. But like you say, okay, OG, but I look at my things and I think they're crude compared to what some other people are doing, and especially like you look at the 3D printing stuff, and a lot of it comes out really nice. A lot of it doesn't, but it's I just look at, like I say, I take old model kits and I cut them up and re-glue them back together and make them into something else so I can make a body that I want. And so it's a little crude, but it's good enough for me because I know that I can take it and turn it into something, and then I'll have the car that I want. And if someone else wants to use it too, but I guess that's where I'm at. I think most, not that I'm an artist, but people who are creative, I don't know how others are. I think they're the same as I am. You're your own worst critic. And so you look at what you've created and you go, this isn't good enough to give to somebody else. It's got a little bubble in it. I'm not putting my name on that. I'm not giving that to anyone. And so it's hard for me to give things away that aren't perfect. And I'm sure that's a stumbling block for a lot of guys. Look at you, Raul. Look at the artistic stuff that you do. I'm sure you critique every bit of it when you're doing it.
No, I like I said, I don't know. You say you're crude, and I think, I don't even think I can come up to that. But you know what? I think it's just over time you get more confident in what you're doing, right? So it's practice, right? Like it's like custom building. When I build my first custom car, I'm never gonna be happy with it. It's not gonna be George level. It's not gonna be Harry level, right? I'm like everybody aspires to become to the person that they look up to, right? Like I look up to Harry, I look up to George. I want my car to be able to run as well as theirs does. I want it to look like yours. Like I look at your painting and whatever, and I'm like, I want to do well. That's why I asked you so many questions. It's not like I can't airbrush. And even Danny was like, why are you so worried about airbrushing? It wasn't that I was worried about airbrushing. I just wanted to do a good job, right? And I think that's just part and parcel of being a hobbyist, right? Like when you are in the hobby and you're learning and you're peeling away these layers and you're finding, like for me, it's interesting because I come from a bigger hobby, a really big hobby, and I didn't understand how much of my past would cross over, right? So as I peeled the layers off this onion, that Slotcar world, I suddenly realized, oh, I have a spot here, and
Right.
I can align with Boone and I can align with Dave, and I understand what you guys are doing. I don't really know tuning, right? It's not something that I'm really like into. So like I said, it's really cool when you look at this window in front of me and I look at the people that assembled here. Each one of us has a specific part of the hobby that they're taken and run with. And I think that's important, and I've just identified what I like to do, right? And I'm trying to learn it. So that's the beauty of having such a vibrant community of creative people. And like, we got people like Alex with the Axle box that took a level, and then you got Marty that broke it down to another level, and that's what inspires us to evolve. And I said this: if you don't evolve, then you stagnate. If you stagnate, then don't be upset when somebody passes you by. Right? Your job is to always evolve, to become 1% better. Say 1% better every day, right? That's your goal, right? That's how I am, right? So I know, like somebody said, he found me inspirational, but he also found me intimidating. The only difference is that I just set goals for myself every 2 weeks. That's what I've just been doing with my vlogs. It's like every 2 weeks I set myself goals and I go for it, right? And if I do it, I do it. If I don't, at least I understand that when I look back, I say, what did I not do? Why did I not do it? How can I make it better, right? That I'll do it better next time. So I think that's just the basics of it, right?
I agree.
Yeah, but confidence, having a group of people like in this community where you can turn to and say, I don't know how to do this. And George has stepped up so many times to like come and save my ass. So, it's like,
not just you, man, all of us.
I know. I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, it's not every hobby community is like this. I come from a cutthroat community of competitive gaming. They're not like this at all. You're on your own. You figure it out on your own. Very few people share ideas, and the ones that do are mostly in the painting and in the terrain and all that. But actual like competitive gaming, it becomes very difficult, and it's very competitive. So it's nice, and it was really nice even in the nationals yesterday after everyone finished the heat. There's no yelling. I didn't see marshals getting yelled at or anything like that. But I remember going to my first commercial track, and I remember the marshals being yelled at, and I was like, I ain't doing this. So, it's completely different. Like I said, that can happen, right? So,
yeah, what was great to see about that is like they finish a heat and everybody in the room cheered.
Yeah,
and that was fun to see that people were excited that the race was over and everybody gave it their best shot, and I really feel like that's what home racing is bringing back to the small clubs, because guys race by themselves all the time.
Yeah.
And then when they do get a chance to go out someplace, you just hope that it's an environment where, if they're struggling, somebody jumps in and helps. It's what we see at Cincy Slots. There are guys there that they don't want to see guys struggle on the track. If there's something wrong with their car, they were like, hey man, let's take a look at it and let's fix it. And that's what I love about the hobby. And when it's not that way for me anymore, that's probably when I'm out. But that's why I feel like it's up to us to make sure that it stays that way, that people are helpful and encouraging. And that's the exciting piece to that.
Yeah. Like for myself, it's incredible. Sorry, Peter, I won't. Please go ahead.
Well, like me sitting right here on this live stream with you guys is a great like case in point for that. Like In many other communities and hobbies that I've had, this would have never happened. I would never had this opportunity to come talk to you guys or talk to all the folks in the chat. I just think it's like the group of people. I mean, obviously, even just in this chat and in the live chat with the rest of the group, all over the world, and just everybody super friendly, sharing advice, sharing tips, like just it's the coolest community I've ever been a part of, and I appreciate it.
Definitely pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I am blown away. I mean, I started live streaming the January. I've had everybody that's anybody in this community on this live stream. From Harry presented himself with his hands on my live stream. I was like blown away that he would actually come on there. And then you got Pete from the UK. Pete is on my WhatsApp. We chat pretty much every day. He texts me and says, "How am I doing?" Like it's become, we're so closely connected by a bunch of toy cars running on a braided track. Come on, guys, that's pretty cool. Like, it's impressive, right? So yeah, like, and that's so YouTube should be one of the tools, I think, for sure, right?
Yeah, for showcasing or for learning, showcasing and learning. It's a
Community,
good
right?
instructional.
Yeah, it's like, this is where you level up, I think. You come on here, you see a bunch of people doing crazy cool things, and you level up. And you can reach out to those people if you don't understand it. They'll talk back to you. They'll come, and I think that's a tool in its own right. It's and I'm glad to be a part of this, because who knew, a year ago when I started reviewing cars straight out of the box, who knew I'd be doing this now? So, but I appreciate it. It's fun.
I like the YouTube Slotcar stuff just as much for entertainment as I do for informational. I go on there. We've all talked about it in Hugh's garage. Man, my God, that is pure entertainment.
That guy is
man.
fun.
I don't care what he's
what
doing.
he's doing.
He could be clipping his toenails, and it would be hilarious, man. I just like that stuff. And
He's got that down real good. I like watching every one of his videos. They're long, but they're entertaining. The length I don't care about, because there's always something to break up that monotony. It's not just drawn on one thing. So he will break it up with humor and just, it's just, I really enjoy his channel.
I do too. I go there to watch it all the time.
Get on if you can.
For the videos that are long, I like those for when I'm going back and forth to work, because I drive about 30 minutes to work every day. So, if I missed a live stream for Marty, I'll turn it on the way to work, and I'll listen to it. I mean, Marty, your voice is like really easy to listen to, so.
One thing about him, he's got no filter. That's what I like about him. He's very upfront, and I like that part about him too. So it's definitely not made for kids.
And then you got, Slotcar is doing some crazy cool stuff with, bringing awareness to, so big ups to Slotcar. He's like really killing it, and love it. Like, but it's cool that we're so integrated, right? Like each one of these people that we mentioned, we can just reach out. Like, Hughes chats with me. It's pretty funny, but that's the thing, is like none of them are unreachable, so it's like, Peter, it's good that you know that too, because when I started last year, I knew nobody here. Like, I was just doing videos of cars, and that's my thing. That's what I still love doing, but I haven't done in a while. But I have some new crazy stuff coming, which I'm excited about. Yeah, I got my cars, by the way. I got 5 new cars.
What?
Yeah. 5 new, very special cars, though.
Well, so we got some videos coming from Raul then.
Nice.
Yeah, one of them, I put it in my cart, I think about 4-5 times. And I took it out, put it in, took it out, put it in. I've been looking at this car since the beginning of February of this year. And I put it in, taken it out, and I couldn't justify the cost. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. So I picked it up, and all I'm gonna say is that video is the first review I'm gonna do on my big track. So, yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
But yeah, I got 5 unique cars, all from different brands, by the way. So, pretty excited for that. I haven't been excited for cars in a while, to be honest.
Yeah.
What about you guys? You get any new cars? I know you created your own shotgun, Dave, so that doesn't count.
Yeah. I haven't gotten anything new in a while. That RS, that Reba Slot Viper that I got. That was the newest car I got. And I haven't bought anything since. Nothing's blowing my skirt up right now. So
Yeah. Tom is asking, did any of you guys see or hear about the new digital system for Polycar? I've heard about it. I know that it's based on the oxygen system, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So it should be good. I mean, the oxygen system is very robust. It's a commercial system, so it should be really good if they hook it up right.
Yeah.
DK Moon, Electric Dreams race, and I had 10 cars in the cart, ended up with 6. That's it. I was so, if I was in Electric Dreams, I don't know what would happen. I was worried. I was watching De Leon scroll through those cabinets, like, I need that. I was like, oh no, damn. I said, I need to be, I need to go to the next one. That's what I need to do.
DK Moon. I had 10 cars in my cart. I only ended up with 6.
Yeah, that's right.
Hope you didn't get out another mortgage. It's expensive.
Yeah. I hope I hear the Carrera stuff is coming out soon. Should be here. The clean truck and the 2 Lanciers should be here in September. That's what I'm hearing. So hopefully that's true and we get some Carrera stuff. But anyone else looking for some cars that are coming out?
Not really.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on all mine.
What are you waiting on?
The NSR Indy car, the limited edition one. Maybe it's the Sprite one. I can't remember. I think it's Sprite, but it'll be my first Indy car, and then of course my 2 crossbows from
You
Carrera.
say special, you mean like historical ones? They have the historical line.
Yeah, it's the historical line. Yeah.
Historical line, yeah.
Well, the Senna is coming out, right? The 962. That will be something I'm looking for. The yellow and black Le Mans Senna car. That's 100% something I'm looking forward to.
And I want that BRE Datsun from Slotted when it comes out.
yeah, everybody's gonna want that.
That's one right
Who
there.
doesn't want the 510? Come on.
10 is going to be sweet.
I'm probably going to order
That's a
multiples
good
of
car
that.
with an LS engine in it, right, Danny?
Yeah. LS swap the world.
And you,
Yeah. Marty, you should shout out Daryl. I mean, Daryl has really helped you with your tuning, right? And he needs more Thomas Love
man.
muscle cars. That's what he says.
yeah, I like how he gave you flight cars. That's a real lesson right there. That is excellent,
Well,
Daryl. That you did
here's
that.
the problem.
It makes him understand more. Now he loves them.
Yeah, you gave away a couple last week, didn't you? Or did you keep them
It's
all?
become a problem. Become a
You
problem.
have a flight problem.
kidding me?
Hey, Marty.
I need a fly strip.
Do you remember the video where you said, I only have 5 cars?
Yeah, and it was where'd all these cars come from?
I have no idea where the heck that came from.
You get that question even more. Where did all these extra cars come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got all the rabbits out at the fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those slotted prototypes, there's quite a few that I want when they come out. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, cars. You can never get enough cars.
Some new stuff.
So, Peter, how many cars do you have? We haven't even put you. Hey, we never put you on the spot. What are your favorite 3 cars? You gotta show us.
Oh yeah.
I have 4, and then I have 2 that are to get my daughter into it. I have the Mario Kart
Nice.
Mario and Yoshi. She loves those.
Oh.
I think my wife loves them more than my daughter does.
That's good. Just say George is an expert at tuning the Mario karts.
Yes, he is.
They are squirrely, but yeah, the most recent one I got my daughter picked out this weekend is that. I don't know if you can see it, the BMW M4. She loved those colors, and then my personal favorite is the Ferrari with the
Red Bull.
I think it
Yeah, with the metallic, right?
bull and horse. Yeah, it's a metallic. It's it's gorgeous. That's my favorite one.
It's
That's
hard
the
to
one I
catch
just
that
tuned up.
on camera, but
Yeah,
it's a very beautiful car.
It's pretty. It's pretty. And then the other two are ones that came with the starter set. I have 4 right now, but it's a every other week taking the little one up to the hobby shop as a reward for doing the chores, and she voted this time, so I'm voting next time. So we'll go
It's
back
cool.
and forth. We're building
My
it up.
daughter is into it. Your daughter's into it. DNA's daughter is into it. It's like a whole new set of daughters coming out. Slotcar racers.
Does
She's
Peter
funny
know
'cause,
about Slotcar Corner and LEB Hobbies and all those places yet?
Yeah, so I've actually I have some. I was telling the guys earlier. I think I burnt up a motor, right off the bat, and so I ordered a new replacement from Slotcar Corner, and I got the lube and the grease from Slotcar Corner. So definitely been shopping those, but once I reach the limits of what my local hobby shops have, I'll probably buy more cars online. But I'm a very immediate gratification kind of guy.
Yeah,
it's like take my money and I need it in my hand.
I hear you.
But I'm reaching the limits of what the local shops have very, very little to pick from around here. So there's one that's about 45 minutes away. It's a little better selection, but yeah.
The online places are usually pretty quick. Slotcar Corner is pretty quick. So is LEB. Those guys are fast. They're not slow.
He is really fast, actually. Yeah.
Cool. I'll have to check them out.
Just have your credit card handy.
Yeah. That's the other thing is I can pay cash at the local shop.
Right.
Yes.
You're going to go on there. You're going to go, I need that.
You
look at
PayPal.
that. Oh, God, I need that. Yeah.
I walk in with an amount, and I know I'm not walking out with it, but yeah.
Yeah, there you go. My daughter's loving it as well. She wants me to crank up the speed on her car. See? Daughters, man. It's the new thing. The daughters are getting into it.
Yeah, I got those Mario Kart ones for her, and as soon as she saw this one with the like shiny red Bull on the side there, nope, that was hers. I never got to race it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was cool. It was cool. Yeah, my favorite shop right now is Great Traditions, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah,
LEB is good. It just takes long to ship. And Electric Dreams, forget about it. I ordered from Electric Dreams, took like 3.5 months to arrive. I was like, and then with Great Traditions, it comes within a couple of days across the border. Still have to pay duties and stuff, but it's not so
It's
bad.
hard to beat the price at Great Traditions too. They got a lot of really good, sale cars and things like that. Where, it's hard to beat that. And the next thing you know, you're filling your cart because they're only $30, and the next, you got 10 of them or whatever.
Right.
I know about this. I had 26 in my car at one point.
Oh my God.
Yeah. These things happen.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Gary Dunmore. What happened to the shadow? No one talks about it.
Yeah, there you go. It's always. I mean, we're a fickle community. It's like as soon as one comes, then the next one is on the block.
Yeah. It's the flavor of the minute, it's just the way it goes. And it's not that we don't love our shadows. I love mine. In fact, it's on the very top of my collection right there.
We all have shadows. Look,
Shadow
shadows here. They're all here. All the shadows are in the house.
I got 2. But yeah, it's on to the next one.
I got 3 in box still new. I don't know what to do with them, but we'll figure it out.
I tell you what, you get them tuned up, they're a great running car.
Damn right.
If anybody says
love
these
mine.
things are fun on wood and on plastic, these are fun ass cars.
Yeah.
Polycar stuff, right?
Polycar.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
I
they're
probably need to
all
order one of
great.
those.
And they make some great cars. Those are a lot of fun.
that used to be one of my favorite classes of cars. Those old Legends, the Skeletric. You know, I think I told you when you were at George's or at Harry's George that you need to sit down on the road course and
Road
just
course.
race those Legend cars on that. It is the funnest thing in the whole world. It was just, in fact, Harry and I were just talking about this last night. I said, get the Legends ready because when I get there, we're going to spend hours just playing with those cars.
He gave me one of the Lotuses, so I have it here. That's a really nice car. He just
Cool.
said, take this, and that's the one I drove on the last video I did. I was playing with that a good
What is?
right.
5 minutes.
Wait a second, Daryl. I love my shot. I won't race it. I don't want to break a wing off. Wait a second. Is this a track queen we're talking about here? Is this a shelf
Yeah,
queen?
about the chaperone because the wing's taller on that one.
That's right.
I mean, he was telling me I shouldn't have any track queen or shelf queens, but I have all my cars are shelf queens right now.
No shelf queens.
I got all shelf queens.
They're toy cars. Race them.
They're so
Right,
pretty.
made to race.
No.
The only ones you can't really race are those Le Mans miniatures.
Well, yeah, okay. Those are kind of an investment when you pay for those things.
Yeah, those.
I
are
got a
more
bunch of them
model
here.
Cars, big time. Those things
Yeah.
you don't want to take.
I haven't even taken them. I don't think I've looked inside the boxes. They're still there.
I can tell you, thunder slots are really robust because I did a video on tuning that thunder slot, and that red Elva flew off this track and hit the floor, and nothing happened to it. I was kind of shocked. I thought it
Yeah.
would have broke everything, but they're pretty tough.
They're pretty tough.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh, Daryl has two shadows. What are you talking about? That?
Well, there you go. A shelf queen and a racer.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's what I did initially when I first started collecting. Was like I buy one for
show
the
and one for
one.
running.
Well, then I was like, wait a second, I'm getting into too many cars of the extras.
STC spare wing.
I got 3 of those, Daryl, Danny. I got 3 of them in box.
Yeah, mine hasn't been opened yet either.
Yeah, I got 3 of them in box and 2 of them open. One without magnets, one with magnets.
This is still one of my favorite cars.
Yeah, Leo. My windows had popped off on Le Mans miniatures just sitting in the box. Hey, wait.
Yeah, I did inventory count this weekend. I was not happy. It's not happy. I'm behind. I'm still behind. Anyway. But that's because Carrera hasn't shipped the 26 cars I ordered or whatever it was. So otherwise I would be where I need to be. Parade Lapper and a new inbox. There you go.
The parade lapper.
Yeah. I don't know. Cars are always coming out. There's so much options, and then there's so many old cars. But I think what you guys do is the best, though. And I think the more that I start to airbrush, and the more I create more white bodies, because that's all I've been dreaming up different liveries all through the weekend. And yeah, so I think I'm just gonna start spraying white bodies. I already ordered a couple more white bodies because I just wanna spray them.
Yeah, it's
Just
fun.
having fun with airbrush. I just have a lot of fun with airbrush. So I'm gonna do a crazy 6-color paint job next. So mess around with it. But anyway, anything else? What should we talk about? Is there anything else? Do we beat this to death? Have we covered all the tools?
Oh, there's one more tool that nobody's even talked about.
A brain.
When you get frustrated with the thing, you need one of these.
And you know what? Funny that you say that. So I was getting my TrackMate thing set up. I had that old big TV, and that stupid thing would not let the VGA connect to it. I got pissed off at it, and I punched that screen. That's how mad I was.
Look at these
That thing's
weapons.
gone now. I don't care. It's an old TV. I was so pissed off at it. I sat there
Yeah.
before I got on the stream for freaking almost an hour trying to figure out what it was.
Marty's gone to get his sledgehammer, boys.
Like, yeah.
It's like,
Beat
you
that.
call that a hammer?
The convincer.
Oh
There
god.
you go.
Skill saw.
The
So any
persuader.
mechanic will tell you you have to have a BFH. That's
in the
most
garage.
important part. Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Huh?
So what's a
BFH.
VFH? What is that?
Yeah, what is
B-
that?
yes, never mind.
I was like, can we
I
say
was gonna
that?
say it, but
Got
I
it.
won't.
Oh,
Yes.
I
That's
know
what
what
we
that
always
is. I figured it out. I'm slow, you
Yes,
see. Question: I missed tools. Can you start over? Well, yeah. I
I
mean,
got a bigger one in here.
you'll have to rewind and watch. That's what we can do.
That's right.
Can't drive shotgun when your dad run them and enjoy them for what they are. Yeah, I know, but I don't
Yeah,
know. I
Daryl's-
never.
Daryl's doing the generic. How would you say
Yes.
the
Yeah.
kid's version? Big fat hammer.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for tonight. And
Supper
Peter,
time.
thanks a lot for joining us once again. Please
Yeah,
go
guys.
follow Show Me Slotcars, guys. Show him some love.
Yes, Peter.
Shotgun Dave, always a pleasure, man. You're
for
welcome
having
anytime. You don't have to ask. I'll just send the link. If you want to jump on, just jump on.
Yeah,
The
just
more
send
the
me a link. I'll
merrier.
be here. I love it, man. I love coming on.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just send you a link every Monday. Just jump on.
Sounds good.
Cool. And anyone else who's new and wants to jump on, tell us his story, or who's old and just wants to hang out with us, just let us know.
It's
You're
starting to look
welcome
like the
anytime.
Brady Bunch on here now every week.
I know. I should just get like 10 of people. I was thinking, how many can I fill? Well, I did 6,
Hollywood
right?
Squares.
I did 6 guests with no glitch.
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah. Next, I'm gonna have to have like Zoom call. All right.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people in
Yeah. Yeah, the link doesn't change. Anybody who wants to join up, please do. It was cool. Did you guys see Pete's nephews racing their Mr. Beans? And
Yeah.
that was fun. Did you see
They were having a
the
blast.
little kid? Like, his face was just priceless when he saw those cars. It was just amazing. So that was pretty cool too. Yeah. Anyway, guys. So
That's how it
thanks a
starts.
lot for joining us tonight. As usual, we appreciate it. Marty's live stream is tomorrow at 8. Don't
8
forget to
p.m.
catch it. George, I don't know what happened to your custom chat. You guys used to have it on Sundays.
We are waiting for certain things, so before we do anything.
Cool. All right.
That's
I
the
will
non-surprise
be.
surprise.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
So I know a bunch of you guys have asked whether I'm going to do the airbrushing or painting. I am doing a regular live on Sundays, but it's on a different channel. It's on Conquest Lair. We're going to be switching the building and the painting to a different channel. Just a way for me to separate things. But yeah, we will be doing that on Sundays. It's very chill, just airbrush or paint miniatures. So if you're interested in that, please join us on Sundays. That'd be awesome. Yeah, and other than that, guys, I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for everybody joining us from Europe and around the world. We appreciate it. And until next time, guys, take care.
Thanks,
Later.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.